What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. But anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Riftwa, who is going to be on Tin Gadgets, versus Rents17, who is going to be on Geargia Karakuri. So it's going to be the battle of the machines, so this should be a good match, and let's get straight into it. Here it looks like Rents17 is going to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Green Gadget, MST, Max C, Red Gadget, and Forbidden Lance. And on the other side, we see Geargia Gear, Trap Stun, Accelerator, Strategist, and Geargia Gear, and they will get to draw for turn here, getting a copy of armor. So it looks like that, they have a pretty decent setup for turn one, being able to go and set that armor and then set the Geargia Gear, and I would assume some other traps as well, which they are going to do. Over to Riftwa, who gets a copy of Double Summon, and I believe this is the big difference in this version of gadgets. They decided to swap out, I believe, the copies of Chain Summoning instead for Double Summon, just because sometimes the Chain Summoning does make you kind of use resources that you wouldn't want to just to get to the Chain Summoning's amount of chains, whereas Double Summon, it kind of just allows you to get into it right away, and the difference between 3 normal summons and 2 normal summons sometimes isn't really that big of a difference. So let's actually see if this works out for them here. They are going to take a second to think here, and they're going to start with Red Gadget, using the effect to add a copy of Yellow Gadget. From there, Double Summon's going to be able to be activated and summon the Yellow Gadget to then add a copy of Green Gadget. Then they're going to overlay both for a copy of Gear Gigant X. Rent says it's good, so here they're going to go and search a copy of Tin Goldfish. And then from there, they're going to go Battle Phase and attack into the armor, which is going to flip to add a copy of the Accelerator. After that, main phase 2, it looks like they are going to set 1 back row, and Geargia Gear is going to be able to be activated, summoning both of the Geargianos, one MK2 and one regular, and then passing it right over to Rents, who gets another copy of armor for turn, and Riftwa right away drops that Max C, just wanting to take advantage of any sort of potential draws that Rents is going to give, given, usually the first action after Geargia Gear is just go to main phase and then go and make a Gear Gigant X, or just any other Xyz. So, just trying to take advantage of that. And here, the second copy of Geargia Gear is going to be able to be activated, and this time summoning just 2 copies of MK2. And Riftwa draws into a copy of Machina Gear Frame. After that trap stun's activated, they're then going to special summon the Accelerator. Riftwa draws a Red Gadget, so it looks like they are going to take the Maxi challenge, going for a copy of Gear Gigant, and Riftwa's going to draw a copy of Soul Charge here. After that, it looks like they're going to use the Gear Gigant effect, detaching the Geargiano and adding a copy of Birdman here. And then they're going to use the Birdman, bouncing the Accelerator, special the Birdman. Riftwa gets a copy of Max C, respecials the Accelerator. Riftwa gets a copy of Kagedo Kage, overlays the 2 MK2s. Again, keep in mind that the Geargia Gear does increase the levels, and that's how they're able to, go into these rank 4s. Here they're going to go for a copy of Honor Arc this time. Riftwa will get a copy of Bottomless. They're going to use the 101 to take the Gear Gigant. Next, they're going to special summon the other copy of Accelerator in hand. Riftwa is going to get a copy of Star Drawing. Kind of cool to see that in the gadget deck here. After that, it looks like they're going to start the Karakuri plays, synchro summoning for a copy of the Beret, and then Beret's effect will, I guess Riftwa draws a double summon, and then Beret is going to activate to special summon a Karakuri from deck, here going for the Watchdog, so now they can go into 8s. Riftwa gets another Kagedo Kage, synchro summons, and Riftwa's just going to scoop it up there. Yeah, there was definitely enough damage on board, and even through the Max C, Rents was able to take that. Very impressive, but here we will get to see Riftwa start this one out. Opening hands, we see Soul Charge, MST, Compulse, Red Gadget, and Machina Gear Frame. They'll also get a draw for turn, obviously. And on the other side, we see Bottomless Lance, MST, Accelerator, and the Strategist. So not quite as strong, but seeing, Lance and MST is kind of good when going second, because depending on what they draw, it can definitely protect their plays here. But here, Riftwa is going to get a copy of Fiendish Chain, and they're going to start their turn by summoning the Gear Frame, adding a copy of Fortress. After that, they're going to set 3 back row over to Rents, who gets a copy of Geargia gear. So now they are really kind of set here, setting 4 back row. And it looks like Riftway's going to blind MST and hit the copy of Lance. So unfortunately missing that Geargia gear, that would have been kind of crazy. Here, Riftwood draws a double summon, so now we might actually get to see, what some of these more plays can do, though there is some strong back row on the other side. Obviously, that bottomless is pretty solid. Here, Red Gadget is summoned, and it's going to add a copy of Yellow Gadget. From here, it looks like they're actually going to take it a little slow, get in some damage, not play into a Torrential or anything like that. Main phase 2 going for a copy of Honor Arc, just to put up a monster that, can kind of protect them for a little bit. And I would assume they're going to go MST first. Hitting the copy of Fiendish Chain is a very good blind MST here. And then the Geargia gear in end phase still summoning the usual suspects here. After that, Rents draws a copy of Soul Charge for turn. And they're going to special summon the Accelerator, overlay the 2 Geargianos for a copy of 101, but that is going to get met with the Compulse. So now they're going to have to take a second to think. Maybe, they're going to go and normal summon the Strategist. So going right into the Karakuri plays, summoning the Beret. Beret can summon a copy of Watchdog, and then just going to battle phase and, making the 101 lose a material. They chose to hold the Soul Charge, not wanting to overcommit. They want to really just focus on this. I guess in that situation, it somewhat makes sense depending on how Rents' extra deck is looking, which the usual Geargia Karakuri one would usually play 2 copies of Beret, unless they're on like the more level 8 and rank 8 focus version. They could have actually potentially put up like kind of a solid big board with the Soul Charge if they chose not to attack over the 101, because I'm sure they could probably get to another 101 or way to out this in general. But taking it a little slow, probably wanting to keep the Soul Charge for when they really need it, whereas, they have the bottomless as follow-up if need be, so it's not really the biggest deal here. But anyways, here it looks like Rift was going to get another copy of Double Summon here, and they're going to take a second to think. Normal summoning the Yellow Gadget, adding a copy of Green Gadget, and then from here, the Double Summon's activated, summoning a copy of Green Gadget, adding a Red Gadget, so, all the resources coming in. Here, Machina Fortress is going to discard itself and the Red Gadget to then summon itself back. That is going to meet the bottomless, but then the 2 gadgets are overlaid for a copy of Ragna Zero. Probably here just going for a monster, with more attack, but also the Watchdog has its effect that says, let me just see here. It says, when this face-up card is selected as an attack target, change its battle position. When you take battle damage from a battle involving this card, all face-up Karakuri monsters you control gain 800 attack and defense until the end phase. So here they're just trying to bait this, so then the monsters will increase their attack and Ragna Zero can out it, which is a very good play there. So here, they're just talking about it off to the side, and here everything's increasing, and then the Ragna Zero is going to pop the Beret, draw into an MST, and then the Ragna Zero can just run over the copy of Watchdog there. Main phase 2 setting MST over to Rents, who gets a copy of Book of Moon. And now, they have that Soul Charge, but they are somewhat low on life. And let's see what they do. Maybe they are going to go for the Soul Charge, the obvious play. They're going to go for Excel and Scyzon, it looks like. So trying to either make a rank 4, which they are. They're going to go for the 101 here and take the Ragna Zero. After that, they are setting the Book of Moon, but that is met with Riftwa's MST, which is to be expected in a more simplified game state. Here, Riftwa gets a copy of Green Gadget, again, really strong with this double summon here, being able to... they're going to go Soul Charge instead, okay. So, Soul Charge for 4, so very big Soul Charge, actually. Overlaying the green gadgets for a copy of Black Ship, and then overlaying the yellow and red for a copy of Cowboy, and that is enough damage, because obviously the Black Ship is just going to send the 101 here, and then do 800 with the Cowboy, so pretty well played right there. A little unfortunate that Rents chose to play it a little safe, but I guess they didn't really have a reason to feel threatened at that point. But if they used that Soul Charge a little earlier, they probably could have put up quite the board. But anyways, moving on into game number 3, Rents will be able to start this one out, Opening hands, MST, Red Gadget, Soul Charge, and Solemn Warning. And on the other side, we see Solemn Warning, Geargia Gear, Breakthrough Skill, Trap Stun, and Forbidden Lance. So a slightly slower hand, but, seeing Geargia Gear all games, plus having the Trap Stun as follow-up and the Warning is really good. And here they will draw a copy of Strategist again. So, they have the setup, just not necessarily on this turn. So here it's to be assumed that they're probably just going to set some back row, maybe even set the Strategist or not. It's not really a big deal. And here it looks like they are going to hold it in hand. And here Riftwhite is going to draw into another copy of MST. They're going to go normal summon the Red Gadget and add the copy of Yellow Gadget, and then just go battle phase, playing it very slow. Neither side really has a reason to overcommit here at the moment. So then main phase 2, they're just going to set 3 back row, end phase Geargia Gear, and they're going to get probably the usuals, yep, which they are. And then from here, Rents draws into a copy of Forbidden Lance, which is very good into back row, though. What was this again? It was MST Warning, so maybe not even the most relevant in this exact scenario. Overlaying the two the two Geargianos, I should say, into a copy of Geargigan X, and that is going to meet the Solemn Warning here. After that, setting the Strategist. And yeah, I mean, maybe there was a reason to just go Trap Stun right away into 3 back row just to play it safe. Because at that rate, if they had done something like that, there's a good chance where maybe even not going into Geargigan X, what they potentially could have done, unless they sided out some of the Karakuri stuff, which is a possibility because it is a little bricky. Or, well, actually, no, they started out the game, actually. So maybe there wouldn't be a reason to side any of this stuff out. So what you could have done is with the 2 Geargianos, maybe since they are level 4s, you could have gone Trap Stun to just shut off this potentially, because most of the back row you're going to be afraid of is going to be traps. And so then even if there's like a random, chalice or something, you do have the lance for your monster at that point because you'd have a zone cleared. And from there, what you could have done is with the 4s in this, you could have summoned the Nisipachi and then gone into your Beret and then got another body, and then at that point you would have access to an 8 or a rank 4, and you could have made the Geargigan after. So maybe just like holding on to that Trap Stun into 3 back row was wrong, but also Solemn Warning is a one of in the format. So it's kind of, if your opponent has it, they have it type of thing. But anyways, let's continue on here. During the end phase, it looks like MST is going to blind hit the Lance here over to Riftwire, who gets a copy of Machina Fortress. And they're going to start their turn by summoning the Yellow Gadget. And they say it's good, and they say, oh, no effect. Okay, so they're just choosing not to search there. Okay, interesting. Here they're going to overlay and go for Exciton. Ah, so that's exactly why, because now they have 5 cards to the 5 cards here. So maybe they're just, wait, actually, are they going to MST their own card to go for this? But that does meet a warning, because wait, let me just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, they would have had to blind MST their own card, because if they blind MST, or well, I guess MST their own card or blind MST the opponents, they'd be on even cards again. So okay, interesting play there, but now the Soul Charge might come up here. MST is activated, hitting the Trap Stun this time, and here comes the Soul Charge for 2, going for Yellow Gadget and Red Gadget, both of them triggering here, and adding a copy of Green Gadget and Yellow Gadget. After that, they're gonna go and overlay for a copy of Diamond Direwolf, so going and trying to hit that set in case it is a Geargia armor, which unfortunately it isn't for them here, but they're in an alright spot here. They're gonna go for the Machina Fortress, discarding itself and the Yellow Gadget, and then summoning itself back out. Here Rents gets a copy of Soul Charge off the top, which is a pretty good card, but depending on how many they go for, that is going to leave them kind of low on life. Going for the Geargiano and the MK2, so just going for 2 here, overlaying for a copy of Zen Mains, and yeah, really not wanting to play into the Karakuri side of the deck this time, because they definitely had chances to, but okay. Here we go. Well, I guess in that situation, maybe not as much, because now these are back to being level 3s, and that's a 3. So just going for a Zen Mains here, it kind of makes sense. Setting the Lance and over to Riftwire, who now gets a copy of Fiendish Chain, which is going to be good later on. Here, Soul Charge is activated yet again on their turn, going for both yellows, and they're going to use the yellow's effects to go and search 2 copies of green. So all the greens in hand, it's really going to come down to this. Overlaying for a copy of Black Ship to out the Zen mains and do 1,000 damage, but that is going to be met with the breakthrough skill. And here, Rifto is just going to set the Fiendish and probably pass it over here. Here, Rents gets a copy of Geargia gear, but do they have... Yep, they should still have enough to make this live. So that's going to be really good. Rifto is going to need a big turn if they're going to out this. And here, Rifto gets a copy of Deck Devi, which is kind of like really cool to see. And it works really well with this Black Ship on board. So if you guys don't know what Deck Devastation Virus does, it says tribute 1 dark monster with 2,000 or more attack. Look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control and all cards they draw until the end of their 3rd turn after this card resolves, and destroy all those monsters with 1,500 or less attack. So really, really cool card. And here, Black Ship's going to be activated again. This time, Rents doesn't have anything to play around the Black Ship. And so they're going to take 1,000, and then here, switching the Fortress to attack. But here, the Geargia gear is going to be able to block a bit, going battle phase, attacking, running over the MK2 there. And then here, main phase 2, setting a copy of Green Gadget and the Deck Devi. And then right away, Rift was going to use that Deck Devastation Virus. Lance is going to be chained. The MST is revealed. And this should just be the end of the game in most cases, drawing a Torrential for turn, summoning the Green Gadget using the effect to add a copy of Red Gadget, and then flipping the Green Gadget, going battle phase, and that is all she wrote. So really cool to see, you know, this Gadget deck playing the double summons versus the chain summonings, and pretty cool to see, you know, Geargia Karakuri. I feel like it's been a while since I showed this deck off. There definitely, I feel, could have been some different plays in that 3rd game there, or, you know, even potentially in the 2nd game. But, you know, it happens, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did recording it here. And if you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. Even if it's a game that you lost, but you felt that the deck you were playing or playing against was really cool, definitely send it in. I would love to take a look at it, and I'm sure people watching the channel would love to see some interesting decks as well. So anyways, make sure to do that, and I will see you guys in the next video.